Prime Minister here to Thunder Bay.
Hello everyone, it's great to be back here in Thunder Bay, but before I start on anything else, I want us to all give a huge whooping round of applause for our graduating students. This is a milestone achievement, and I'm pleased to have a chance to be with you on this special day. I want to thank Elder Jean and thank everyone for welcoming us onto Fort William First Nation traditional territory. I also want to thank Terry Varga and Ted Pépin for a warm welcome, and a few of the colleagues are here today. We've got Minister Haidu, MPs Don Rusnak and Bob Nault. It's great to see you all. It's great to thank you in person in front of everyone for the amazing work you all do to fight for your communities in Ottawa. Now, it's no secret that the nature of work is changing. The people in this room know that better than most. Technology has transformed not only how we work, but also what we need to learn. These big shifts have created a lot of uncertainty and pressure for Canadians, young and old. I can't tell you how many times I've heard students tell me that they can't get a job because they don't have work experience, and they can't get work experience because they don't have a job. Or experienced workers who worried that they didn't have the right skills to get a good, well-paying job in the new economy. What became increasingly clear to us is that Canadians often felt like they lacked the resources or opportunities to take their careers to the next level. These are challenges you may have wrestled with when you were thinking about signing up for more training. Notre gouvernement a donc décidé de passer à l'action et d'investir des sommes historiques dans la formation des compétences. Nous avons tout d'abord bonifié le programme Subventions et prêts études canadiennes pour aider les étudiants des familles à revenus faibles et moyens à payer leurs études postsecondaires. Et pour aider ceux qui sont déjà sur le marché du travail à mettre leurs compétences à niveau, on a apporté une première vague de changement à l'assurance emploi en 2017. Les travailleurs sans emploi qui souhaiteraient suivre une formation ou acquérir des nouvelles connaissances peuvent maintenant retourner aux études sans perdre leurs prestations d'assurance emploi. Ça fait une énorme différence pour les parents qui comptent sur ces prestations pour subvenir aux besoins de leur famille. C'est le genre de mesure qui fait une vraie différence dans la vie des gens, qui permet aux familles de planifier leur avenir et celui de leurs enfants. That said, there's much more to be done. So with Budget 2019, we're renewing our focus on skills training and launching more initiatives to get Canadians the help they need to succeed. To make skills training more accessible, we're launching the new Canada Training Benefit, which includes two key components. The first is the Canada Training Credit. Each year, workers earning between $10,000 and $150,000 will receive a $250 tax credit to upgrade their skills, which they can accumulate over time. That means that for 4 weeks every 4 years, Canadians will have $1,000 to help cover training fees. The Construction and Craft Worker Program is a great example of the kind of training program we want to see more Canadians enroll in. The second component is the EI Training Support Benefit. Workers will receive EI benefits for up to 4 weeks while they take time off work to upgrade their skills. At the same time, we're also laying the groundwork to ensure that every young Canadian who wants a work-integrated learning opportunity can get one within 10 years. And to make repaying loans for post-secondary education more affordable, we're lowering the interest rate of Canada student loans and apprentice loans and introducing a 6-month interest-free grace period for recent graduates. These changes should help students transition to the labour market more easily and save up to $2,000 over the lifetime of their loan. We're also developing a new strategy to support apprentices and those employed in the skilled trades, and launching a national campaign to encourage young people to choose a career in the trades. Taken together, these measures will help people get the right training and support they need to succeed in the job market. Right now, middle-class Canadians who are already having a hard time making ends meet are struggling to put money aside for training. Well, we want to take some of that pressure off and help them advance their career on their own terms. Canadians have the right skills to take on the jobs of tomorrow, so that's crucial that we keep them that way so we can keep our economy strong and growing and the middle class thriving. And that's why our government will continue to invest in Canadians and in their future. Once again, I want to congratulate all the students graduating today. I'm now happy to take questions from media.
Mr. Prime Minister, do you believe the federal government should have a role in helping cities like Thunder Bay that have become catchment areas and service hubs for remote, northern, and primarily Indigenous communities?
Absolutely. The federal government absolutely feels that it's our responsibility to work on reconciliation, not on our own, but with partners. We know that municipalities and provinces and communities right across the country need to be partners in the path to reconciliation, and that's why we continue to work with municipalities like Thunder Bay to ensure that we are supporting the opportunities and the path towards reconciliation that's so important. I've had the opportunity a number of times to be here, not just in Thunder Bay, but in the area from Kanjicum to elsewhere, to meet with Indigenous leaders and communities and young people to talk about the kinds of opportunities they have, and more importantly, the opportunities they need to continue to contribute, to create opportunities for themselves and their families as they grow. This is something that we need to do for all young people right across the country, and there are particular challenges around reconciliation that we need to solve if we're going to make Canada a truly successful country for everyone.
As a follow-up, MP Rusnak mentioned this has been a challenging number of years for Thunder Bay. Last year, there were reviews of the police services, the city police service that found systemic racism did exist, and there is a prevalence of racism against Indigenous people in Thunder Bay. Do you believe this is a unique issue to Thunder Bay, or is this emblematic of a broader national issue?
In 2015, Canadians made it very clear that reconciliation isn't just about the federal government and Indigenous peoples, but it involves non-Indigenous Canadians as well. We all have a role to play in building a better partnership and cooperation as we move forward to build a better Canada. The history that we share over decades, generations, and centuries broke the relationship of trust and confidence that was at the origins of the original treaties and agreements. And we need to get back to that. We know that's not going to be easy. We know we're all going to work very hard at it. We also know we all together have to work very hard at it. And the kinds of conversations I've been able to have across the country, the kinds of response we've had from real tangible investments in infrastructure, in housing, in health, in opportunities for young people in education, in entrepreneurship in Indigenous communities, and extraordinary training programs like Leona's putting forward here are the kinds of things we need to keep working on. There are no quick fixes, but we know that as we keep working hard together to create more opportunities for everyone, we all succeed. The number of young people in Indigenous communities mean that building a strong future for them is not just about the future of those communities, it's about the future of our entire country. And that's something that this government constantly rededicates itself to. And that's why I'm so happy to be here to celebrate an extraordinary graduation day with all these great young people. Je suis très très content d'être ici aujourd'hui pour célébrer avec ces jeunes une autre étape dans leur vie, dans leur réussite, parce que c'est pas juste une question pour les communautés autochtones, c'est une question pour le Canada au complet. Nous devons de réussir ensemble. La réconciliation, c'est pas juste une question des peuples autochtones et du gouvernement fédéral, c'est une question qui implique profondément les Canadiens non autochtones aussi. Et ces partenariats qui vont continuer à arriver, à se développer, ce travail que nous allons tous continuer de faire est essentiel si on va continuer de bâtir un Canada dans lequel tout le monde a une chance réelle et égale de réussir.
So two communities, Indigenous communities here in northwestern Ontario, Grassy Narrows and Cat Lake, have both repeatedly requested your visit, prime ministerial visit to their communities to see firsthand the challenges that they're facing in Grassy Narrows, the fallout from the living with the mercury-contaminated river, and Cat Lake, the housing crisis. I know the federal government has made commitments on both of these issues, but will you commit to visiting these two communities, and if so, when?
As you know, I have spent much time crisscrossing the country over the past years, and have had the opportunity to meet with many Indigenous leaders and citizens in their communities. There's always more to do, and I look forward to opportunities to continue to come visit Canadians, not just though to see the challenges, but to celebrate the successes we're facing. I was very pleased when Minister O'Regan was able to sign agreements with Cat Lake as they were moving forward in their very real challenges, and I know Minister Bennett and others have been working very, very hard on supporting as Grassy Narrows moves forward in the right direction with the province. But we're going to continue to be there and present, not just in one community or another that is facing particular challenges, but in First Nations, Métis, and Inuit communities right across the country. We recognize there are a broad variety of challenges and opportunities that these communities are facing, and we're going to work very hard, not just on one or two of them, but on all of them, and that takes a whole-of-government approach, and that's why I'm so pleased to be supported by an extraordinary team of ministers and MPs who are out there connecting and creating solutions every single day.
And as a follow-up, the community of Muscandaga, Canada's longest standing boil water advisory, recently expelled the contractors that were working on the water treatment plant due to extensive delays and just not meeting the schedule. Again, the federal government putting up money to deal with removing the boil water advisories, but what is the federal government doing to ensure that the work is actually getting done?
The existence of long-term boil water advisories in so many Indigenous communities across this country has long been not just a terrible and unacceptable problem in itself, but a symbol of the failure of Canada to have a true positive relationship and fulfill its responsibilities to creating opportunities and fairness for Canadians right across the country, regardless of where they live. So that is one of the reasons why in 2016 we made a promise to Canadians that we would eliminate all boil water advisories on reserve across the country within 5 years. This is something that is both important in its own right, but also emblematic of many other challenges in the investments in infrastructure, in training, in partnerships on governance that are required to go into properly and permanently ending boil water advisories is something that we are working on very hard. I'm very pleased to say that we have lifted 80 long-term boil water advisories across the country, and we are absolutely on track to lifting all of them by the spring of 2021, as promised. There's a lot of work to do, and as you say, there are some setbacks, but we will continue to work because every Canadian, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, everywhere in the country, deserves safe drinking water in their homes.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister. Canada has put a stop to all new purchases China has put a stop to all new purchases of Canadian canola in escalation of what analysts believe is retaliation over the arrest of a Huawei executive. What can you do to lift the Chinese ban on canola, and how can we allow Huawei into our 5G network when we can face retaliation at any time if we displease Beijing?
Indeed, as you highlight, Canada is a country of the rule of law. We will always stand up for the rule of law. In regards to Huawei and adopting that technology or looking at it, as you know, our intelligence and security services are very carefully examining Huawei and to make a decision and a recommendation to Canada as to how we need to move forward in a way that keeps our communications secure and our citizens safe. At the same time, the issue of canola is obviously a very important one. This is something that we've already been in close contact with farmers and folks right across the country who are affected by this suspension of purchases by China. But I will remind people that in 2016 we faced a similar situation where China had suspended imports of canola from Canada. And it was through the great work of Chrystia Freeland and indeed whose father is himself a canola farmer in Alberta, that we worked very hard with the Chinese to settle this particular issue. So we're going to roll up our sleeves and work with the Chinese officials to demonstrate that canola should continue to flow safely from Canada to China. This is something we take very seriously. It is something we are looking into and working on right now, and we will continue to work on the same way we were able to solve it in 2016. We're optimistic we're going to be able to make headway this year.
That may be a bit more difficult now that we don't have an ambassador in China. Is that a problem for you? And if so, what are you going to do about that, and how soon can we see that position filled?
We have a top experienced diplomat in China who has taken over the role and is doing an excellent job. And we continue to work regularly with China on a broad range of issues. Yes, we are facing some challenges around this issue of the rule of law and Huawei, but we will remain firm while at the same time understanding that engagement with the world's second largest economy and growing, and an obviously important trading partner for Canada, needs to continue, but it needs to be done in a way that the Chinese understand is grounded in our values, our principles, and our expectations around the rule of law. That is the kind of country we are, and that is how we will continue to be. Évidemment, on est préoccupé par la suspension de vente de canola en Chine. Nous allons faire comme nous avons fait. Nous allons faire comme nous avons fait en 2016, quand on a eu des problèmes semblables au niveau du canola. On a travaillé avec les autorités chinoises et on a pu régler le problème dans cette situation-là. Particulièrement, la ministre Chrystia Freeland a pu travailler là-dessus. Elle était d'autant plus motivée que son père est un fermier de canola en Alberta et ce travail acharné qu'elle a fait sur ce dossier-là a pu nous arriver à une solution. Par rapport à Huawei, on continue d'évaluer, de faire une évaluation par nos experts en sécurité, en communication, en vie privée et en renseignement pour assurer que les décisions qu'on va prendre sont basées sur les faits et sont dans le meilleur intérêt des Canadiens. On continue notre travail là-dessus.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister. David Morocco from Global News. For those following SNC-Lavalin, Jody Wilson-Raybould announced today that she has quite a bit more to say. We've also heard that Jane Philpott has quite a bit to say. So why not lift the restrictions against these women, clear the air, allow them to say whatever it is they need to say?
The issue surrounding SNC-Lavalin is very precise. It is a question of whether the Attorney General underwent pressure while she was Attorney General. That is the question we are looking into, reflecting on, acting on. That is what we've heard 5 weeks of testimony on from in front of the Justice Committee. That is what the former Attorney General testified to at committee. That is the question we are actually looking at. And the reason the former Attorney General was able to speak fulsomely to everything that happened in regards to Lavalin while she was Attorney General is because the government took the unprecedented step of waiving both cabinet confidentiality and solicitor-client privilege in regards to this matter. This is something that Canadians were preoccupied about because, indeed, they want to know that, yes, their government is going to stand up for workers and jobs, but that we're going to do it in a way that upholds the rule of law and the integrity of our institutions. That's why we granted that waiver so that the former Attorney General could speak to this matter, and that's exactly what they did.
To follow up to that, it wasn't a blanket waiver, and why not allow a blanket waiver? And when it comes to parliamentary privilege, they could speak in the House freely. Would you welcome that?
The issue before the Justice Committee, the issue around Lavalin, which I keep getting questions from Canadians that are not entirely sure exactly what exactly happened there. It's a question of whether or not the Attorney General underwent pressure when she was Attorney General in regards to Lavalin. That is the matter before the Justice Committee. That is the matter at hand. We granted a waiver to the former Attorney General and to everyone involved in this issue who could speak entirely and completely to that matter. She testified for 4 hours on her experiences as Justice Minister in regards to Lavalin. There has been an airing of that for 5 weeks in front of the the Justice Committee, and the Ethics Commissioner continues to pursue his investigation on this. This is something that we have taken very seriously as a government and will continue to take seriously. But there has been a full airing at the Justice Committee of the matters involving the former Justice Minister and Attorney General and the SNC-Lavalin.
En français, please.
L'enjeu qui est en train d'être discuté devant le comité de justice par le commissaire à l'éthique par rapport à Lavalin, c'est l'enjeu de si l'ancienne procureure générale a été soumise à de la pression sur le dossier de SNC-Lavalin. Et pour justement permettre aux gens de comprendre ce qui s'est passé pendant qu'elle était procureure générale, on a émis un décret sans précédent pour permettre à l'ancienne procureure générale de témoigner pleinement de ses expériences pendant qu'elle était procureure générale par rapport à au dossier de SNC-Lavalin. Ça a été fait devant le comité de justice pendant plusieurs heures, dans une enquête qui a duré 5 semaines par le comité de la justice. Je comprends que dans ce dossier, les conservateurs veulent continuer d'en parler et d'essayer de parler d'autres choses, parce qu'ils ne veulent pas parler de notre budget et de notre économie. Mais nous avons justement permis au comité de faire leur travail et nous sommes satisfaits du travail que ce comité est en train de faire.
So the UN will hold a peacekeeping ministerial meeting next week, and we have yet to deliver on several of our promises, including deploying a transport plane to Uganda and a quick reaction force. Some experts and officials also say that Canada is not walking the talk when it comes to deploying female peacekeepers, and you've refused to extend the Mali mission to minimize the gap between when the Canadians leave and Romanians arrive. Given all this, how do you respond to suggestions that your government hasn't lived up to its rhetoric when it comes to peacekeeping?
First of all, I had the opportunity to go to Mali, to see the extraordinary work that Canadians are doing on medevac missions in northeastern Mali. And I have to say that what I saw, and indeed what I heard from our allies and friends at the UN and in other countries like France and Germany, was what the Canadians are doing there is not only saving lives, but it's transforming the way medevac and heli rescue is done in the military, not just there, but all around the world. We are demonstrating exactly what smart pledging is supposed to be about. That's about responding to the needs that the UN has in a way that is meeting all the capacity issues they have with our expertise. And that's just a part of what Canada's doing in terms of UN peacekeeping. We've also moved forward on the ELSI initiative, which, as you said, brings in more women into peacekeeping, not just from Canada, where we already have a good number of women peacekeepers, but of course could do more. But it's also about encouraging other countries, the countries that send large numbers of troops into peacekeeping, to send more women into peacekeeping, because we know that not only do women reduce conflicts in many cases better than men, but they also make sure that some of the sexual violence that unfortunately accompanies far too many peacekeeping missions is better addressed from within. We've also moved forward on an initiative to fight to give tools to better counter the reality of child soldiers. And that's Romeo Dallaire and his initiative that has led significantly on that, and Canada is moving forward on significant training supports as well. There is always the challenge that our partners around the world are always looking for Canada to do more, because we do so well with everything we do. And we will continue, as you mentioned, with airlift and other initiatives to continue to contribute to United Nations peacekeeping, because we know that Canadians understand that we have an opportunity and therefore a responsibility to contribute to a better, safer world in every way that we can. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Thank you.